Welcome back to the garage. Today we're going to be replacing the steering box assembly on an EZGO TXT model 2005 and newer. Let's grab some tools and get started.
Do it yourself, go kart. Do it yourself, go kart. Do it yourself, go kart. It's the one-stop shop for installing kart parts.
These are the tools we'll be using today. These are the parts included in your kit.
So to get started, we're going to grab a punch and a hammer, and we're going to pop off the plastic rivet on the front cover.
Strike the punch with your hammer until you break through, then simply remove the rivet. Do this for both rivets.
Once you've removed the plastic rivets, you can go ahead and remove the metal bolts at the top of the front cover, located here and here, using an 11mm socket and 11mm wrench.
After removing these two bolts, keep them handy. We'll need them again when we reinstall the front bumper at the end of the video.
Next, we're going to separate the steering box assembly from the steering column by removing the bolts located here. I'm going to use a 13mm socket.
You may want to use a power tool with your 13mm socket. It took me forever to remove this bolt with just a ratchet.
Now that the bolt has been removed, you can go ahead and pop the steering column right out of place. Now we can go ahead and remove the tie rod, but first we have to remove the castle nut underneath.
Begin by removing the cotter pin with the pliers. Don't worry if you accidentally snap the cotter pin. You have new ones provided in your kit. Once the cotter pin has been removed, go ahead and remove the castle nut using a 17mm socket. Then, using a ball joint splitter, pop the tie rod out of place.
Now we can go ahead and remove the 3 bolts here, here, and here, holding the steering box assembly to the frame.
To remove these 3 bolts, you'll need to use a 16mm socket. Again, you may want to use a power tool to remove these bolts. A drill or an impact wrench should do the trick. Otherwise, a ratchet will do just fine.
Alright, now it's time to put in the new steering box assembly by Golf Cart King.
Before installing, we need to adjust the length of the tie rod on our new assembly. We'll do so by counting the threads on the old assembly and adjust our new one based on the same thread count. Simply spin the tie rod until you reach the correct thread count, then tighten the nut behind it.
Now, using the original hardware, let's go ahead and put this bad boy in.
If you haven't already noticed, one of your metal spacers is smaller than the other two. You'll want to first place the 2 larger spacers towards the front of the cart, reinstalling them with the original hardware. With the larger spacers now in place, go ahead and place the smaller spacer on the other side of the assembly.
Now let's go ahead and tighten down these bolts.
Tighten the bolts with the large spacers first. Then tighten the bolt with the smaller spacer.
Now that the new steering box assembly has been attached to the frame, we can go ahead and attach the tie rod to the spindle using the castle nut and cotter pin, which are also included in your kit.
Insert the tie rod into the spindle like so. then secure with a castle nut using a 17mm socket. Position the castle nut so that one of the gaps is aligned with the open channel on the bolt. Then place a cotter pin through and bend the open-ended side to keep the pin locked in place.
Now we're going to go ahead and reattach the steering column to our new steering box assembly.
When attaching the steering column, be sure that the holes line up with the grooves seen here. This will allow your bolt to insert properly into place. When placing the bolt, be sure to insert it through the unthreaded hole first.
Now that your new steering box assembly has been fully installed, we can go ahead and place the front cover back on.
Place your bolt through the bumper and secure to the metal lip seen here, using an 11mm socket and wrench. Do this for both bolts. Next, we'll need to place 2 rivets in the center of the bumper. When using your hammer, use just enough force to push the plastic peg flat against the surface of the rivet, like so. Do this for both rivets.
And that completes the installation of the Golf Cart King steering box assembly for EZGO TXT models 2005 and newer. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.
Don't forget to like and subscribe, and for all your golf cart parts and accessories, check out DIYGolfCart.com and make sure to check out our other videos.